Hi, welcome to Live Your Dream Podcast, episode 34, How to Achieve Your Childhood Dreams. I'm your host, Selena Lee. I've shared with you that I'm launching my first group coaching program, Career Happiness Academy. I've designed it with everything I've learned about success and happiness from people I've interviewed on my podcast, and also what I've learned from my own career transitions and from coaching many professionals. This will be a 12-week small and exclusive group coaching program, and I'll be inviting 3 to 5 highly motivated people to join the group and go through an inspirational journey of transforming career and life through my love coaching framework I've developed. The benefit of joining the group program is that you'll be part of an inspiring community of people who are working towards achieving big goals and big dreams in their lives. I've noticed from coaching many people that so often a lot of people have similar struggles and challenges, but because we don't talk about them openly, so many people feel like they're alone. When I was in training to become a certified coach, I was in group programs myself, and I loved it because it was so wonderful to be part of a community and get the support from other people. And I also learned so much from other people's experiences and how they were growing and developing in their careers and life. So this experience led me to develop my own program. And by joining the group program, you'll be able to develop friendships and build relationships with successful people from different industries who you probably would not have a chance to meet otherwise. And the group dynamic will offer mutual support, accountability, and a space to share ideas and challenges. So if you want to be part of an inspiring community and transform your career and life so you can finally take action and achieve what you have always wanted, whether that is a career transition, starting a side project, writing a book, or whatever your goal or dream may be, please check out the link for Career Happiness Academy I have on the show notes. Or you can go to my website, SelenaLee.co/CHA. That is CELINALE.co/CHA. Okay, in today's episode, I talked to Dennis Hong, the professor and the founding director of RoMeLa, Robotics and Mechanisms Laboratory at UCLA. I first ran this episode last fall, September of 2018, and it was one of the most popular episodes from my last season. So many of my listeners commented how much they loved this episode, and I thought some of you who started listening to my show recently may not have had a chance to check it out. When Dennis was 6 years old, he saw Star Wars for the first time, and he was absolutely mesmerized by the robots he saw in the movie. And he knew that one day he will grow up to become the person who makes these robots. And now he's living his dreams. He has invented many amazing robots, which you'll hear about, and the world's first car that can be driven by the blind. And becoming a robot scientist was only one of his dreams, and you'll hear about his 3 other childhood dreams and how he's achieving every single of them. And of course, his journey to success was not all smooth sailing, and he also has some really tough times in his career, and he shares what he has learned from these experiences. Okay, I hope you enjoy the conversation. Hi, Dennis.
Hello, Selena. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Let's start with your childhood. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
Sure. So I was born in the United States. I was born in Palos Verdes, California, near Los Angeles. But when I was 3 years old, our family moved to Seoul, South Korea, and I actually grew up in Korea.
Yeah. And you were there until college.
That's right. So I went to for the Korean audience, I went to Gyeonggi Yuchuwon Kindergarten, Pampo Elementary School, Pangbae Middle School, and Seoul High School. And then went to Korea University of Mechanical Engineering, but I didn't graduate from Korea University. I transferred to Wisconsin-Madison.
I see. So when you were growing up, did you have a childhood dream?
Oh, yeah, of course. So this is a true story. As you know, I'm a roboticist. I do research and I build robots. And when I was 7 years old, we were visiting the United States, and you probably know the movie Star Wars. I know that you did not watch, you haven't watched Star Wars just yet, right? Yeah. Yes.
I will.
So in Star Wars, I was so excited to see all the spaceships and the lightsabers and everything. But in the movie, there's these two robots. You probably know C-3PO. It's a humanoid robot, the
that
gold
one
color.
I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You also know R2-D2. It looks like a big trash can.
Yes.
I was so mesmerized by those robots. So on my way home back in the car after the movie, in the car, I told my mom and dad, I'm going to be a robot scientist. And I followed my dream and here today.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You achieved your childhood dream.
It's true. But I mean, so everybody knows me as a roboticist, but roboticist is not my only dream. I actually had more dreams than just a robot scientist. I had 4 dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably should know because you interviewed me for your book.
That's right. So, but let's talk about
What
that.
are my 4 dreams?
So you wanted to be a chef,
A chef, correct?
a magician,
Magician,
a theme park designer.
theme park ride designer,
then
and a robot scientist.
That's right.
So the first dream of being a robot scientist, I'm living my dream truly, and that's my job.
Yeah.
That's what I do every day, and I cannot be more happier than that. The second dream, a chef. It's not my job, but I'm a semi-professional cook. I cook every day at home. After like 6 p.m. when I come back home, I stop by the grocery store or a farmer's market and I buy whatever's fresh at the spot. So I don't pre-plan what I'm going to cook. I just buy whatever fresh ingredients and I come back home and I put all the ingredients that I bought on the big island and I improvise at the spot. And that's the fun part. So if you understand the cooking process and if you understand the characteristic of not the materials, but the ingredients, then you can actually design. You can design your own dish. So like, I have these and these are the constraints. And in my imagination, I think about this dish that I'm going to cook. Okay, so after you've I finished cooking a dish, and when you eat it, if the flavors and the textures and the temperature, everything matches what you actually thought, you thought in your head, then boom, there's like difficult to explain, but there's like a really big satisfaction that gives you happiness too.
Is that similar to you being an engineer?
Yeah, now that you say that, I think so. Like when you design something, a mechanical design, or when you do robotics, there's a lot of constraints. There's different materials and processes.
Yeah.
So yeah, in a way, come to think of it, it's similar to that. Maybe that's why I not only enjoy it, but that's why I'm good at it too.
Yeah, and you're so good at it that you competed in a MasterChef competition. You were on TV.
Yeah, that's a little embarrassing. So I was on MasterChef USA season 4. So the reason why I actually entered that is because not because it's just cooking is not only my passion, but also at the time I was working on a robotics project for building robots for everyday lives, for helping the elderly and for the disabled. So I wanted to show people my vision. I wanted to have a robot cook with me in the kitchen as a sous chef, and if people see that, then they will see the vision that I have, and that's one of the reasons why I actually participated in the show.
Wow! So what did you make on the show?
Oh, I can talk about this for more than an hour.
Briefly talk about what you made.
So I cooked a dish. It was a Chilean sea bass with over cold somen noodles with a special glaze made with soy and jalapeno glaze that I built.
Wow,
it's
that
pretty good.
Sounds yummy.
Yes.
So you make robots, you cook. What else do you do? You do magic.
I'm also a magician.
That's right.
So I think my hobby as a magician started about the same time when I was 7 years old. So again, I grew up in Korea, and in Korea, magic was something. It was not that popular, right? So my dad traveled around the world for business, and every time he visited a country, he bought me those small magic kits, like a cheesy. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Those magic kits. And then I practiced it and I showed it to my friends, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing!" And I really enjoyed it. So after that, whenever my dad went abroad, I asked him to buy me more magic stuff, and then I started to actually study magic. I studied the theory and all those kind of things. So the magic that I do these days are mostly the magic tricks that I invented. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I don't know if I can talk about this in podcast. You know Netflix?
Yeah.
Netflix. There's a new miniseries called Magic for Humans by
Wow.
I'm actually episode 3 is about me with the magician Justin Willman.
Oh wow! Is this like a top secret?
No, it's out.
Nice.
It's doing well.
Okay.
So everybody who's listening to this podcast, it's Netflix Magic for Humans, episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yes.
Awesome. Everyone check it out.
Yeah.
So cool. Oh my God, I got to check it out. And then your another dream was theme park designer.
Yeah, so among the 4 dreams, a roboticist, a chef, a magician. I mean, roboticist is my job. A chef, I mean, you can cook if you want to. Magic also as a hobby, that's fine. But designing rides for a theme park, I mean, even if you want to do that, it's difficult to actually, make it happen.
Right.
But for me, I had a lot of opportunities. For example, the last World Expo was in Yeosu, Korea. So I was in charge of the entire robotics pavilion, which was one of the 2 most popular. I mean, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. So I was in charge of that. So that started my actual involvement with these kind of things. And I cannot really disclose it on this publicly, but I'm working with some famous theme parks. Using some of our technologies. And some of our robotics projects in our lab at UCLA is not just for just robotics per se, but it's more for using robotics technology for entertainment.
Wow.
So we're doing a lot of interesting secret projects, which
so
has
cool.
to do with theme parks as well.
Yeah. So even at an early age, you like to make things?
Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Not only make things, but also break things.
Break things, yeah.
So when I was a kid, this is a true story. Every single home appliance at home, color TV, radios, mixer, vacuum cleaner, every single home appliance, I disassembled it and I broke it.
Oh, wow.
Every single thing. Because I was a curious kid. I was a mischievous kid, but I was a very curious kid. Whenever I saw these machines or electronics, I had to figure out how it worked. So I had to open it up and I broke every single home appliance at home.
And your parents were okay with it?
So I really, really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank my parents because, of course, if I did something wrong, I had a hard time, and my mom and dad, But when I actually opened up a home appliance and when I broke it, they never gave me a hard time because they understood that the reason why I opened it up and broke it was not because I was just a mischievous kid, but because they understood that it was because of curiosity. And I really, really thank them. Now I'm a dad, so I know how difficult that is.
Yeah.
However, it was actually a very good investment for my parents, in my opinion, because when I opened it up and broke it, that was because I wanted to figure out how it works. So now I do understand how it works. So now I can fix things. So these days, when I visit my parents' place, I always bring a toolbox, and I always, whatever is broken, I fix those for them for free.
Wow. So that's a good payback.
Yeah. And also, everybody's good at something, but also not that good at certain things.
Right, of course.
I'm a good cook. I do magic. I'm good with, making things and fixing things, but I was never good at sports. Never good at sports. So when I was even as a kid, when my friends went out and when they play baseball and things like that, the things that I like to do when I was a kid was in my bedroom, under my bed, I had these 3 big boxes, cardboard boxes, and inside there, it contained my treasure, and my treasure were broken toys. Yeah, so everybody gets, as a kid, your parents buy you a toy, right? But once it's broken, they throw it away. But for me, I loved collecting broken toys.
Oh,
because, like these days, if your friend gets the newest, toy, then everybody wants it too, right?
Right.
But for me, it was different. I always want to have a special toy that only I have and nobody has it. I only want to have.
Wow, so you make it?
Yeah. So what I did is when my friends go out and play baseball and things like that, at home I take out my 3 treasure chests, the 3 boxes with broken toys, and I try to make a toy out of broken parts. And I come up with pinball machines, robots and different type of things. And that was, my joy, and that was my hobby. I really enjoy doing that.
And then you'd show it to your friends?
Oh yeah. So after I fix it. So usually during the break, summer break and winter break, during the break, I make a masterpiece. And as the start of the school, approaches, everybody's like, oh, my spring break is over. But I got really excited because I wanted to really show my masterpiece creation to my friends and teachers. So the first day of class, I show it to my teachers and show it to my friends. And everyone's like, whoa, this is the coolest thing. And I'm the only one who has that toy that only one exists in the entire world.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So I heard your mom named you Dennis from a cartoon character.
Yes. So I'm a mischievous kid
Right.
You know, even now, but even before I was born too. Because when I was in my mom's, you know, belly, right? My mom and dad, they were having breakfast, and one day I was in my mom's belly. I was start to like kick, right? And my mom said, "Oh, honey, look at this! He's kicking." And my dad said, "Oh, if this is a boy, he's gonna be a really mischievous kid. So let's name him Dennis because he was actually." Reading the newspaper, he's actually reading the comic strip Dennis the Menace, right? And that's how I got my name, Dennis.
And you lived up to your name.
Yes, I am the mischievous Dennis the Menace.
There were so many incidents that happened when I was a kid. I can't remember. I think it was like when I was 4 years old when our family just moved to Korea. I was in the kindergarten playground and there's a sandbox and I was a very curious kid. So playing in the sandbox, I was alone. It was like in the evening time. It was about time to go home. But I got curious how far deep this actual sand is or, you know, what's beneath the sand. I was really curious. So I start digging deeper and deeper. And as you know, it's very difficult to dig a very deep hole. You actually have to make it really wide. So I start to, make this gigantic hole.
Wow.
And because I was having so much fun, I didn't really realize how, late it was. It was already nighttime, so I just came back home. And when I came back to my apartment, the entrance door of my house, apartment door, there was like half dozen policemen and army people. And I didn't know what was happening, but everybody, they were so crowded I couldn't come into the house. So I actually really crawled between the policeman's legs and entered the home. And my mom and dad was so surprised to see me, and they hugged me and kissed me. And it turns out that at the time my dad was working on some government classified projects, and they worried that I might have been kidnapped by North Korean spies. So that was an interesting incident. Yeah. Also, when I think it was I was in the 3rd grade or 4th grade, I was very interested in rockets. I was so not just buying model rockets, but I wanted to build my own. So I started to with my brother and my sister. We start looking up books in the encyclopedia and trying to figure out how to make rocket engines. And it turns out that you can actually make black powder, gunpowder, the solid rocket booster material. So we bought potassium, nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal, and we actually made our own rocket engine. And we used to fly a rocket. So that was all good, but when you launch a rocket, it's really quick, right? So we wanted to do something bigger. So we had a lot of leftover gunpowder or black powder, and we went on to the top of the our apartment building, and we put all of the leftover gunpowder in this one container, and we hid between sandbags, and we lit it up. And thank God, I could have, we could have been really killed ourselves. It was really, really dangerous. There was a huge, it was not an explosion, but there was a huge 2-3 meter flame shooting up in the air with smoke, and we panicked and ran away. And the fire engines came, and it was a huge, incident. We were really, really big trouble that day. I still remember that. So at the time in Korea, remote control airplanes, that was something pretty new. Because my dad is a aerospace engineer, he wanted me to learn about these things. So he actually got me a really nice remote control airplane. And the only place to really fly them was near the river, Hangang River in Korea. So we were flying the airplane. And then suddenly I see these like big, vans and police cars just, beep, beep, with the sirens coming towards us. And they actually arrested me. This is when I was a small kid, me and my friends.
Oh my gosh.
And we were taken to the police station in the basement, and we were interrogated about something. So it turns out that at the time, somebody actually saw the remote control airplanes, and they called the police telling them that there's North Korean spies trying to bomb the Blue House. Blue House is the White House in Korea where the president lives. We had so many of those kind of funny incidents.
So when you're 7 years old, you watch this movie, Star Wars, and you're mesmerized, and you're like, that is what I'm going to do with my life. And then
I followed my dream.
You followed your dream all your life.
Yeah. However, to be honest with you, when I first said I'm going to be a robot scientist when I was 7 years old, I mean, as a kid, what do you know about robots?
Yeah, what do you know?
I just thought that they were cool. I just thought, those are coolest thing. But I didn't know what a robot is or why we build things. So as I grew up, I started to study and learn all the science and math. And learn about robotics. But I was actually fortunate because my dad is a very well-known engineer in aerospace engineering, and I was fortunate to have a dad and so my dad, when we travel, we visit different university labs, and I got to experience and see different technologies, and that inspired me to become who I am today.
Yeah. So after you transferred to university in the US, you studied mechanical engineering.
Yes.
And then you became a robot engineer, right?
Yes. So in Korea University that I attended is one of the top universities in Korea, and especially if you graduate from one of the top universities, then sort of you're set for life, right? So leaving Korea University, that's very unusual, right? Why would you leave? Why would you not graduate from Korea University? The reason I left was because, in Korea, when you're high school, the last year in high school, when you're senior, that 1 year, you completely devote your life for studying because you have to prepare for the university entrance exam. And I did the same every day from morning to 2 a.m. And, I study and I only study. And it's hard. It's stressful.
Really hard.
The reason why I was able to withstand and, go through all the hardship is because all my life, since I was 7 years old, I had the dream of becoming a robot scientist. And I knew that once I passed this university entrance exam and enter one of the top universities, then I can truly realize my dreams. I only looked to that, right? And I studied and I made it. I was so excited. But I was very disappointed. As a freshman at university, I knocked on my professor's door and I was like, "Hi, my name is Dennis. I'm a freshman. I want to start doing some robotics research." And all the professors just shooed me away. Like, "Oh, you're just a freshman, right? What do you know? Just take your basic classes." And I was very, very heartbroken, right? So, so during my freshman year, I was very disappointed. And my brother was doing his PhD at Stanford University. So during the summer, I had an exchange student program. So I was at Stanford during the summer. And there, I had a chance to really see undergraduate students participating in real funded research.
Yeah.
And I was so envious. That's what I wanted, right? So when I came back, I was disappointed. And one day, my mom and dad said, "Dennis, come here and sit down." And they've been watching me, of course, right? So they said, of course, you're planning to go to grad school for the States to study abroad, but what do you think about leaving now, transferring? And they said that, big fish must swim in the big sea. So I made a big decision, and that's why I came to the United States. And at University of Wisconsin-Madison, Professor John Euchre, he's a very famous roboticist, and I was fortunate to work with him as an undergraduate researcher, and that really changed my life. Because as an undergraduate student, I was really able to participate in real funded research, and that set my research direction.
And you've done some amazing work.
Thank you. In cooking? No, magic?
all of the above.
Yeah.
And in one of your TED Talks, you've done 2 TED Talks. You talk about...
Car for the Blind.
That's right.
Yes. So the Car for the Blind project is not really a robotics project, so it's not really my main thing. So back in 2007, this is when I first became a professor. I was untenured assistant professor. And the first project I did was the DARPA Urban Challenge. So DARPA Urban Challenge was the largest, the most difficult, challenging robotics competition till then. So, autonomous cars, robotic cars. These days, if you go to California, sometimes they go around. Uber's building them, Google's building them, even Apple's building them. But if you go back to 2007, I think if somebody asked you, "Do you think we're going to have autonomous cars?" Then people thought, well, I saw it in science fiction, but probably not in my lifetime. But in 2007, this competition, we participated and we placed 3rd place in the entire world. And that really put us on the map. And now people saw cars, driving around without a driver. And that started to change people's thought. Like, oh, now the scientists and engineers actually have the technology to build these kind of cars. And by the time that the National Federation of the Blind, NFB, heard about this, and they said, oh, if the scientists and engineers have this technology, maybe they can build a car for the visually impaired. So they announced this huge project competition to the university and research lab saying, scientists and engineers, if you have the technology to build a car for the blind, apply to this competition. We're going to have this big competition called the Blind Driver Challenge. And I was excited because I already our team built this autonomous car. So I can just put a blind person and we're done. So I was really excited. So we participated in this competition. But I was so excited. The very first meeting was a teleconference meeting. And that day was probably one of the most shocking day of my life because I was so excited to participate in the competition. And it turns out that in the entire world, I was the only person applied for this competition.
What? Really?
So I was like, what's happening? I was like completely... And then I learned that I made a mistake. So it turns out that this is not a competition for building a car that drives a blind person around. This is a competition to build a car that a blind person can make active decisions and actually drive.
Wow.
I mean, how can a blind person drive a car? This is insane. So, I mean, after the meeting, so I called and sent an email to all the other professors and the team leaders from the DARPA Urban Challenge, and I asked them, how come you're not participating in this competition? And most everybody actually replied to me because I was a new starting assistant professor. And their answers were like in 3 different types of answers. So many people said, Dennis, this is impossible. How can a blind person drive a car? So you're not tenured, so don't do something that's impossible. Do something that you can actually achieve. And they actually told me,
safe.
Yeah, play safe and do something else. And a group of people told me, well, car for the blind. So let's say you make this, then you cannot make any money out of this. So why do that? Do something that you can actually profit from it. And another group of people even told me that, the blind people, those people shouldn't be driving. They should be at home. They're different from us.
Right.
And then I was all really, really confused. So I started this project as a mistake because I thought I can build a car where I can just put a blind person and drive. So it started as a mistake. But now everybody's saying this is impossible. It's impossible, impossible. So I started to, I don't know how to explain, but everybody's saying it's possible. So I want to say, I think like, well,
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah, something like that. So I decided to do it. But, I mean, how can a blind person drive a car?
Right.
So I tried to think and do brainstorming. I couldn't get any ideas. So one day I thought, maybe, just maybe, the reason why I don't have any ideas how to make this car is because I do not truly understand the people who will be using this technology. So blind people, visually impaired people, I thought I never met one in my life. Of course I have. I just were not interested. I didn't know about that. I was not interested. So I started to feel really ashamed. So one day, I decided to live 24 hours with a blindfold in my head with a white cane. So I come to my office and I put this blindfold in my head. I can do this. I start walking outdoors. It's difficult, right? But it's kind of interesting. Did you know that even even with a blindfold, if there's a wall next to your ear, you can actually feel that there's a wall with your ear? And
really, I did not know that.
Try it. And even with a white cane, if you detect an obstacle, it's not just that there's an obstacle, yes, no, but with the vibration, you can gain a lot of information. So it's kind of interesting, but it's hard. So I think I did it for 3 hours. I couldn't take it anymore. So I threw away my blindfold and I looked at my watch. It's been only 3 minutes.
Wow.
So that very day, I took my undergraduate students and I drove 5 hours to Baltimore to the National Federation of Blind headquarters. And for 2 nights and 3 days, we lived there. We slept together. We ate together. We lived together with the visually impaired people. We were there to observe them, to understand them better. But after 2 days, we became friends. So that day, coming back home in the car, we're driving 5 hours in the car. And then something hit me. Something I realized profound, a very simple truth. Is that blind people are the same as us. It's just that they cannot see. They have the same dreams. They have the same right to be happy. And once I realized that very, very simple, obvious truth, I start to get ideas. So we start the project. So we build this car for the blind called the Blind Driver Challenge vehicle. The first vehicle was really something very simple. We only had $5,000 seed money, so we bought a laptop, and after that, we needed to have a car. So we went on eBay, so we bid on this red dune buggy, so we bought this dune buggy. And with our undergraduate students, we built something, right? So I still remember the very first day that we tested this vehicle. Now, these days, when we test our robots, all the media, news media, the reporters and the TV people all come to our campus to see it. But this was different. It was a very sunny spring day. It was a weekend, and nobody on campus, just us. And we invited 2 visually impaired people from the National Federation of Blind. And we tell them how to drive the car. We give them the key, say, good luck, Godspeed. And he starts to drive the car.
Wow.
Right? Now, of course, it's slow. It goes all the way. But I was not looking at the car. I was looking at my computer screen, right? Looking at the sensor data and everything. And suddenly on the screen it says, finish. And I look up and I saw something that changed my life forever. What I saw that day was the big smile of the person who was driving the car.
Wow.
I never seen a smile that happy.
Yeah.
And then it hit me. If I can make this one person this happy, if I truly succeed in this technology, I can make all the tens of thousands of visually impaired people, give them this happiness in the world. So my life goal changed. My life goal was not this small car, but a real car that can be driven on the real roads by the visually impaired. And that was the birth of this car. And in 2011, January 29th, we first demonstrated this vehicle to the general public during the Rolex 24 racing event. It's a very famous car racing event at the Daytona International Speedway. And it was a huge success. And that really changed my life.
Yeah. And people who are listening, if you're interested, you can go to TED.com and Dennis Hong, and you can actually see this video,
yes,
right?
That really changed my life.
Yeah.
So I don't really talk about this in public. This might be the first time I'm actually saying this in media. But so after we succeeded in this demonstration, so for many people, me, myself, and our team became heroes, right?
Yeah.
But we sort of skipped I skipped the press conference. And I went back to the hotel and I actually cried.
How come?
So it's difficult to explain. Of course, I was happy. I was not sad. So my tears were not because I was sad. But if you look at the video, check it out. Mark Riccobono, was the first driver. When he finished his round and was coming out of the car, he was hugging his wife. And you can see his tears in his eyes.
Yeah.
When you see that, it's difficult to describe. So I'm a professor, right? So I teach in classrooms. I write papers. I publish papers. I build robots. I give talks. I do podcasts too, right? But I never knew that the things that I do can change the world. Oh, I knew it in my head, but I never really felt it in my heart that the things that I do can really, it might sound cheesy, but truly make the world a better place, give people happiness. And that very day when I saw, Mark's tears in his eyes, it hit me. The things that I do can truly, impact people's life. I can truly make people happy through my technology. I can make the world a better place.
Yeah.
So if you look at all the projects that I do, we just talked about the Blind Driver Challenge car, but every single project that we do many things. We have chemically actuated robots, wheel-leg hybrid robots, firefighting robots, demining robots, human robots, all those kind of things. But if you look at all the robotics projects that we do, they have a common theme. And all of them is truly to make people happy and make the world a better place. Firefighting on Navy ships is very dangerous. We built a robot called Sapphire, shipboard autonomous firefighting robot. It's a robot that works together with firefighters to put out fires. We built a robot called Thor, tactical hazardous operations robot for disaster relief. This was specifically for the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. You probably know that in Japan, it's been 5 years ago, because of the tsunami, there was a huge accident in the nuclear power plant. And because of the radiation, people kind of go there. So we build robots that can truly save people's lives, right?
Right.
We build low-cost prosthetic limbs for people in need. When I was a kid, I saw a construction worker falling from a scaffolding.
Oh my gosh.
So we built a snake robot for climbing up scaffolding for inspection tasks. So if you look at all of these robotics technology, they're all truly to, make the world a better place. And that's what we're doing, what we're doing.
Yeah. And you also won the RoboCup.
Oh yeah, that's more for fun, but true. Yeah. So RoboCup is a international autonomous robot soccer competition. So these are not robots that you remote control. These are robots that actually they're fully autonomous. They look like humanoid robots: 2 legs, 2 arms, torso, and head.
They look very cute.
Oh, thank you. So they play soccer against each other. But the cool thing about this competition is the official goal of RoboCup is by the year 2050, we want to have a team of robot soccer players play soccer against the World Cup champions and win, human World Cup champions.
Wow.
And towards that goal, if you go to RoboCup, every year there's so many new technologies and new robots. It's mind-boggling. It's such an exciting competition. We participated since 2008, I think, and we became the world champions in 2011. Again in 2012, again in 2013, and again in 2014.
Wow.
And 2015 again. So we are 5-time world champions.
That's awesome.
Thank you. But in a way, it's some people think it's scary. So yes, it's fun and exciting, but robots playing soccer and winning the human World Cup champions, do you feel any fears about these robot technology taking over? I
know people
Yeah.
are worried about that, but
Yeah.
you're the one who told me that it is humans' responsibility to use it in the best interest of humans, right?
Wise, yes.
Yeah. So because you told me that, I'm not worried about it. How do you answer? I'm sure you get that question a lot, like AI and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, if you turn on the TV, the news and the newspaper and everything, everybody's talking about, these new AI and robotics technology will take over our jobs and, using robots for war. It's kind of scary, systespecially not too long ago, AlphaGo, the artificial intelligence system,
that's right.
won against the Isidore in the game of Go, right?
That's right.
And that was a huge awakening or shock in the psyche of us about maybe now the singularity is approaching, that robots are going to be smarter than us. So there's a lot of people who worry about that. So in my thought, first of all, let's talk about robots taking over people's jobs. So by the way, not everybody agrees on this. This is my personal opinion. Robots will take over people's jobs, but this is nothing new.
Right.
Yeah, since the 18th century, the Industrial Revolution, machines with automation, it's been replacing workers. And at that time there was these movement called the Luddites, trying to destroy machines, rage against the machines. But if you look at it, overall it's a very positive thing. It increased the quality of life, so it's a positive thing. So I think it's just a simple continuation. The only difference is the rate of change is increasing rapidly, and also jobs that we thought were safe, like white-collar jobs, because of this new AI technology, those kind of jobs are starting to become automated too. So it's just that. However, I think the number of new type of jobs created will be larger than the jobs that the robots will take over. Like a good example is this. Before we had automobiles, before we had cars, there were no such thing as gas stations or insurance, auto insurance, or car salespeople or car mechanics. All of these are new jobs that were created because of the auto industry. So I think and hope the same thing will happen with the robotics industry. When we start to have really robots widely used, then there's going to be new type of jobs created.
Yeah.
Another thing is in the future, let's say this is 2015, so we're living in the future, 2015, and there's a robot that's doing certain jobs, and I say, back then in 2018, long time ago, people used to do these jobs that robots are doing today. Wow, those people were really inhumane. So I think those type of jobs robot will start to replace. So I think it's a positive thing.
I heard even in medicine and law, a lot of the jobs will be replaced.
But you're a lawyer, right? So a lot of the things that the mundane, like searching for all the different cases, those are not so
We don't want to do them anyway.
Yeah. So automate that, let the AI do it. So the humans can do the more creative, the more, humane jobs, the more fun stuff. So I think it's, so we shouldn't really fear AI, but we should be wise about how to utilize these new technologies. So, when the first automobile, appeared, people didn't freak out that the car was faster than the horse.
That's right.
We just to figure out how to utilize these new technologies. I think it's the same thing with AI.
So it is our responsibility
Yes.
to use it in the way that really serves us, not hurts us.
That's true.
Yeah.
Same thing with military robots.
Got it.
So we talked about robots replacing humans for jobs, but military using robots for is a little bit different. So some people argue that if you use robots for war, we can actually reduce the number of casualties. We can actually save people's lives, and I do not disagree to that. However, I personally do not want to build robots that hurt people, whether they're the good guys or the bad guys. I don't care. I don't want my technology that I create hurt people. So
you don't participate in any military projects?
I do actually. Many of my projects are funded by the Navy, DARPA, the military. Decide. However, I don't do weaponized robots, but I do medevac robots, firefighting robots, demining robots, disaster relief robots. But I don't do weaponized robots.
I see. Got it.
Yeah.
Wow, so you are so creative.
Oh, thank you.
Where do you get ideas for these robots? You've named a bunch.
Yeah, ideas come from anywhere, anytime. So I always carry a notebook with a pencil, and I always walk around, and whenever I see something interesting, I always sketch something and I write that, jot down
so
ideas.
Real notebook.
However, these days, I'm going to mention that in a minute, but I recently I changed a way. So these days I don't carry a physical notebook because now we have these smartphones and things. So I changed the way to do it, but I'll talk about it in a minute. But I always sketch things. Like for example, we built a humanoid robot called Charlie, Cognitive Humanoid Autonomous Robot Learning Intelligence. That's the acronym for that. And it's considered the United States' very first adult-sized humanoid robot. It was a huge success. But when we were designing that robot, we had a hard time designing the knee. It didn't produce enough torque. That's the force that makes it move. And the range of motion was not that great. So 2 years before we started the Charlie project, right over here in New York, the Museum of Natural History. I'm a museum buff. I love to go to science museum, art museums, things like that. And among all the dinosaur bones and the fossils, there was a fossil of a deer that was instinct. So it doesn't exist anymore. But there's and at the bottom of it, there was a sign, the picture with the explanation that says, the fossil that you're seeing right now here is an ancient deer that is now extinct. However, if you look carefully at the knee bone, it looks like a double pulley mechanism, and there was a sketch. I found that was fascinating, so of course I took out my notebook and I sketched that the knee bone. So 2 years later, we're designing Charlie, and we're having a hard time trying to figure out how to do it. So as I always do, I take out my idea notebooks and I flip through, and then I found that sketch from 2 years before of this deer. So if you look at Charlie, the robots that we designed, the knee, it looks exactly the same thing, same as the deer fossil.
That is so cool.
Another very famous robot that we built is called Strider, Self-Excited Tripedal Dynamic Expander Robot. It's an acronym again. So it's a robot that has 3 legs. So you actually have to see it. So for those listeners, if you're interested, do a Google search on Strider, a robot, then you'll see it. You have to see the animation. So it has 3 legs, but it walks in a very interesting way. So it falls forward, and one of the legs swing between 2 legs, catches the falls, and stands up again. So it flips its body, and it walks in a very interesting way. And this is a true story. How I got the inspiration was when I was a graduate student. So I was studying and I wanted to take a break. So I always go to this park. So I was sitting on a park bench. And there's another bench next to me. And an old lady was braiding her daughter's hair. Oh. I've seen braided hair before, but this is the first time me seeing the braiding process. So how do you braid hair? You normally have 3 strands of hair.
That's
then
right.
You put one strand of hair between the 2, and you do that. So I thought that was very interesting. So as I always do, I start sketching that sequence. Of course, at the time, I was not thinking about robots. Maybe I was thinking about puzzles or something like that. So 10 years passed, I became a professor, and the Navy approached me and asked me to develop new type of walking robot. So as I always do, I take out the notebooks and I flip through, and I see these series of pictures that I sketched 10 years ago about braiding hair. And suddenly the hair starts to look like legs. And if you look at how Strider walks, it's the exact same thing how the process of braiding hair.
That's so cool.
So again, I get inspiration from braiding hair to fossil to many, many different things.
So it's just you interacting and
Every day seeing things. Yeah. Even today in the podcast, you see is the tripod thing.
Yeah.
There's some interesting things. I might use it for my future.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So I went to your classroom to like observe how you teach.
Yeah. That was a long time ago.
Oh my God.
Right?
It was when I was writing my book.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I noticed that was really interesting, and you said when you're talking about different ideas, that nobody criticizes anybody's ideas or opinions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this applies when you do a brainstorming session. So brainstorming session is a special time when I actually open up to the general, anybody can join, not only my lab or not only engineering, but anyone can come to our lab for this brainstorming session. So this is really a practice of training people how to come up with creative ideas. So one of the reasons why people hesitate to express their opinion or their ideas is because they always fear how people might, think about their idea.
Yeah, of course.
So at the beginning of the brainstorming session, I start the session by writing this golden rule on the blackboard. Nobody criticizes anybody's ideas. Nobody criticizes anybody's ideas. If you say something, when somebody says something and you start to criticize, then I kick that student out of the classroom.
Wow.
And once you set this as the golden rule, then people don't fear about other people's opinion, and truly your head opens up and ideas just pour out and the entire classroom just shakes with creative energy.
Yeah.
And that's such an amazing experience. And that's what we do. Yeah.
Wow. So you've had such an amazing career, but when was the most difficult time for you?
So it is true for those who know me or follow me on Facebook or, social media, I'm always having fun, exciting. You see me with my big smiles. And that's true. That's my true self.
I remember when I was researching about you to interview for the book, I was like, I don't know, I hadn't met you yet. And I was like, looking at some pictures, I was like, is he really a professor? He looks like a kid. I was like, who is this guy?
And now that you know me, I'm always like that.
You're always like that.
That's my true self.
Yeah.
I am not afraid to show people who I really am.
Right.
People tend to make mistakes when they try to hide who they're, try to show something different from their true self. Of course, I'm always, so that's my true self. But yeah, so that doesn't mean that I don't fail. That doesn't mean that I don't, have hard times. So let's talk about robotics then, okay? So let's say you have an idea, and research doesn't mean that you just have an idea and just build it and you're done. No, it's always a challenge. If you know that a solution exists, then you don't call that research, you call that homework. If you do not know if it's possible or not, but you actually challenge to achieve it, we call research. So every time, even if we have an idea and we get the research funding, there's no guarantee that this is going to work. It's always a challenge. Because of that, we always fail. So it's interesting. We developed a lot of successful robots. We talked about Charlie, your favorite robot called Darwin, the small kid robot.
I know, so cute.
We come up with all different type of things. But people like to see our final successful products. But nobody really wants to see all the small and big failures behind it. We fail so much. We always fall down, but we learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failures, and that's how you actually achieve it. So in our lab, I tell the students, if you fear failure, then you cannot achieve something big. As a matter of fact, if you don't fail, then that means that you're not trying hard enough.
That's right.
Right? Innovation happens when you're walking along the cliff, like you're about to fall down. That's when true innovation comes out. But if you're afraid of falling, then what do? You just walk on the safe side. And if you walk on the safe side, then there's no innovation. Now, the one thing that I'm really proud of our lab is called RoMeLa, the Robotics and Mechanism Laboratory, is that I create this environment where failure is accepted, or, it's okay to fail. It's okay to fail because, everybody fails. I know a lot of successful people, but I know nobody who hasn't failed. Everybody fails.
That's right.
The difference is that if you just give up after failure, then that's the end. But if you learn from your mistakes, then that becomes a stepping stone for success, right?
Yeah.
So I want to teach and let our students actually experience that process. So we have a lot of failures in our lab. As a matter of fact, in our lab, these robots that we're building, these are multi-million-dollar projects, and there's a one-of-a-kind prototype in the lab. So you don't want them to break, right? So there's a lot of other great robotics lab in the world, but our lab, RoMeLa, is different from all the other robotics lab in the world. These robots, I tell the students to try to make it go faster, try to lift heavier things. And I tell the students to break the robots. Because if you don't break the robot, if the robot doesn't fall and break, then you don't get to learn anything.
It's just like when you were a kid, you broke everything at home.
That's right. That is right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I never thought it that way. Yeah. So we always fail in the lab, and we understand that that's just a process. One of the steps to go to success. However, I'm a little bit careful telling of this to other people. So I give lectures and give seminars, but I cannot just tell people working in a company, it's like, oh, don't fear failure. It's okay to fail. Because many times in business, if you fail, then it could be disastrous and you cannot recover. So what I also want to add to that is, yes, it's okay to fail, but if you think you're going to fail, if the chance of failure is high, and first of all, before you challenge and try to do something, you have to think wisely. Is this project that you're about to undertake, is a success rate high or low? Okay, even if the chances of failure is high, if the outcome is huge, then challenge, right? But even if the rate of failure is really low, chance of failure is low, but if the outcome is small, then it's not worth it, right?
Right.
So multiply the chance of success times the outcome and try to decide wisely. That's the first thing. So if you decide to undertake this challenge, and if you think it's going to fail, I mean, we're engineers, we analyze things, then make sure you fail wisely.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so let's say we have this multi-million-dollar humanoid robot. I tell them to make it go faster, and it's going to fall. If you think it's going to fall, try to figure out how it's going to fall, and, for example, have a safety net or have a plan B, right? So you fail wisely. That's what I teach, I'm not telling them just like, oh, go crazy and it's okay to fail. No. Because, sometimes if the damage is too big, then you cannot recover. So it's okay to fail, but think wisely and then prepare for that and fail wisely. That's what I teach.
So what are some of the failures in your personal life that you learned from?
I wouldn't necessarily say failure, but of course I had hardship. So if you look, people who know me, my friends, and even you, looks like I grew up in a, good family, a loving family, and I was never poor. I'm not rich, but I was never poor. Good educated, well educated, and people see me as, oh, Dennis Hong, he just lived a, nice, smooth life. Yes, so I'm very happy and was very lucky. However, every life has, hardship.
Of course.
Everybody goes through a crisis.
Yeah.
My life crisis happened 4 years ago. So I was a professor at Virginia Tech for 11 years, and I moved to UCLA 4 years ago. And during that transition period, I went through the most difficult time of my life that actually shook the foundations of my everything. So it was difficult. But probably I cannot really say things in detail in this podcast because there's still people who are active involved with this. But I will just say that I lost everything in terms of my work during that. And I was betrayed by people that I trusted. I was betrayed by people that I considered they were my mentor. Yes.
That must have been so hard for you.
Yes. But again, everybody goes through these kind of things. So, so not only robotics research when my robots fail and break, but these kind of things every time in life, even if they're the most difficult at darkest time, if you look for it, you can always find something positive.
Yeah.
Right? So, 4 years ago, that was the peak of my career. I become really famous. I'm always on the cover of magazines and articles and everything, and everybody knows me. Especially in Korea, if I may say, I'm like a celebrity status. People in the street
people know you and ask for your autograph. Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit ashamed to say this in public, but I didn't know then. But now that I think of it, I think I've been changing a little bit.
Yeah.
So my friends, high school friends, I now become my famous. Now they contact me and let's have a drink and we're having beer. And they say, "Hey, Dennis, you've changed, right?" And even my sister, my sister knows me the best. Since we were young. It's like, "Hey, Dennis, you're changing." And I thought that they're just saying it because they're jealous. I think I was becoming arrogant, but I didn't realize I was changing that way. So there was a one specific instant that made me realize this. I gave a talk in Korea in front of thousands of students, and it was after the talk, all the students, it's almost like a rock concert, like people trying to pulling my hair, and I had a bodyguard to guide me out to the exit. I was so excited, so I came back to the hotel. I was like all excited, like, wow, people really love me this much. And then I was washing my face in the bathroom, and then when I looked up, I saw the reflection of myself in the mirror, and suddenly I got shivers in my back. So when you look at the mirror, you see yourself, right? But I saw something different. It's difficult to explain. It's supposed to be myself, but the reflection that I saw in the mirror was not me.
What did you see?
I saw a person, somebody with a very arrogant, stiff neck going like this. And that's not me. That's not me. You know me, right? That's not me.
Right, that is not you.
It's almost like I saw a ghost. And then I freaked out. And I just sat down on the couch in the hotel room. And I was there just shocked for about 10 minutes. And then I realized, oh, maybe I'm actually changing. This is the thing that my friends and my sister was trying to warn me, right? These, when everybody loves you, when you become famous, when everybody wants you, then you start to change. Even though you think you're not, you change. And then it hit me, right? So this hardship that I was going through when I was moving from Virginia to UCLA, I think, it's difficult to say. I was too successful. Everything is going great. My career was the top. And then maybe sometimes you need to have somebody hit the back of your head and then wake up, Dennis, and realize where you truly belong, I would say. Of course, so I do enjoy my fame. I have fan clubs. I have I enjoy when I go on TV shows and things like that. I enjoy it. But I always, when I come back home, I do know where I belong, and I try to push myself into this box where I belong. So that's what I do.
So in a way, even though that experience was very, very difficult for you,
very difficult,
it did serve a purpose of kind of making you be alert.
Yes. That's how I try to see it.
Yeah.
That's how I
Wow. So what would you want to tell your younger self?
Oh, do everything exactly what you're doing. Break more stuff. I don't know. So it might sound weird, but I am not always 100% proud of everything that I do, but I don't regret the things that I've done unless I actually harm somebody, except for that. Because, whether it's a good thing or even a bad thing, all of those made me who I am today. And I am very, very happy who I am today. So if I had to start my life all over again, I might do the same thing.
So you've had a very successful career. What have you learned about success that you can share with us?
So in Korea, success, 성공, when you say, 성공하시면, he's a person of success, then that automatically means what? He made a lot of money, rich. So saying somebody is successful means that he made a lot of money, especially in Korea. But actually, if you think about it, the fact that you say success equals to making a lot of money means that, what is success? Success and failure.
How do you define it?
So success and failure is, if you achieved what you planned, it's a success. And you have not achieved what you planned, then it's a failure. So if you say success equals making money, then automatically that assumes that what you want to achieve is making money. But in my case, my life goal is not necessarily making money. Money is important, but there's much more important things in life. So for me, success does not mean making money. So it all depends on everybody's philosophy or religious beliefs and things like that. But for me, so I'm living, right? So I was born not because I wanted to be born, but life was given to me.
That's right.
So starting from the point I was born to the day I die, what I want to do, my goal, it might sound really selfish, which is true. I want to maximize my own happiness. And that's my lifetime goal. I want to maximize my happiness from start to be born till I die. It might sound really selfish, and that's true.
I don't think it's selfish.
But the interesting thing is, I feel most happiest when I make other people happy. If you think about, I talked about my 4 dreams: roboticist, chef, magician, and theme park ride. There's a common theme.
That's right.
Yeah, chef. I cook, tasty meals, and I share with my family and friends and share happiness. I do magic tricks and amaze people and entertain people, give them happiness. I design rides, and people ride my roller coaster and they enjoy it. Developing robotics technology to make the world a better place. So that's what drives me, is to make other people happy. But because that makes myself happy. So for me, success for me is to, of course, maximize my happiness. But one step before that is to make other people happy.
Every day you're making a robot, which is what you wanted to.
It's my dream since I was 7 years old. How can you not be? I live in the campus with young, eager minds with their eyes sparkling, full of energy. We discuss and build robots in our lab. We fail, we succeed, we learn from it. We truly believe that the technology we build will make the world a better place. How cool is that, right? I'm living my dreams.
You are a very, very lucky guy.
I am. Yeah, thank you.
So we all know nobody succeeds alone, nobody achieves dreams alone. So who helped you to get to where you're now?
When I first became a professor, this was at Virginia Tech. Fresh out of grad school, getting my PhD, I became a professor at Virginia Tech. And of course, the first thing as a professor you need to do is to start writing research grants to get research fundings to start your research. I was pretty good at everything, but I never had formal training for writing proposals. So every time I write a research proposal, it got rejected. I write another one, get rejected. It happened over and over again. And the first 2-3 years when I first became a professor, my failure rate was almost 100%. And I was so disappointed, discouraged, and up to a point that I start worried that, is this my real right path? And I actually cried in my office at nighttime when nobody was there. But there was one instance. So I went to one of the international robotics conference. It was held in Las Vegas at the time. So after the conference, coming back to the airport, I took the airport bus shuttle. And it was a full bus, and there was just one empty seat. So I sat in there. And right next to me, there was a older gentleman. It was an Asian older gentleman. And as I always do, I'm really always kind and be nice to people. I like to talk about, things. So I said, "Hi, my name is Dennis." And he said, "Oh, hi, my name is such and such." And I start talking to him about, "Oh yeah, I just became a new professor at Virginia Tech. I do robotics." And I'm got excited and start talking to him all these ideas. I have this cool idea about a 3-legged robot that flips itself, amoeba robot that turns inside out. So I start getting really excited and start talking to him. And normally, if you're just a regular person, I talked about a lot of technical stuff, but this person was actually listening to what I had to say, and it seemed that he was really interested in what I had to say. And then when the bus arrived at the airport, he introduced himself to me officially. That he said that he's the program director of robotics division at National Science Foundation. And National Science, that's exactly where I was supposed to submit my research proposal. It was a coincidence, right? So after that, he gave me his business card, and he told me to give him a call when you go back. So when I actually gave him a call, I visited his office in Washington, D.C., and he gave me a lot of good advice and insight. He became my mentor. So every time I have a research proposal idea, he gave me feedback and ideas and who to collaborate with. And that really helped me. And after that, every time I submit a research proposal, it got all accepted. So he's one of my heroes. He's my savior, I should say. So the lesson is be kind to others everywhere, all the time, because you never know who will be your savior or who you will be helping, right? So be
right.
kind to others always.
What is your dream now? You've done so much. What's next for you?
So I mean, talking about my job as a roboticist, again, I do so many different type of things. If somebody who's not in the field of robotics asks me, what do you do? I say, I build robots. I go, oh, that's cool. But if a roboticist who does not know me and asks me what do you do, then it's difficult to say because I do so many different things. If you have a world famous, academic person in one area, then you're an expert in one thing. But I do so many things from autonomous cars, car for the blind, chemically actuated robot, humanoid robots, all different kind of things. So if we have this another interview or podcast next year, I might be doing something completely different. So, whenever I have different ideas and if it's the right time and if it's a technology that truly can make people happy, then I'll be doing that. So I don't know.
Wow, looking forward to that.
Yes.
So my last question to you is, what would you want to say to people who are trying to pursue their dreams?
I think there's nothing more important than life is to find your dreams and pursuing your dreams and realizing your dreams because that gives you the most happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, it is true that not all the times you can achieve your dreams because, circumstances, different type of things. But having a dream is having a goal, right? Goal. So you have to have a goal to at least go close to that. So.
Well, thank you, Dennis, for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are an inspiration for so many people. So I hope now that I've shared your story on my podcast, a lot more people get to know you and know about your work. And I look forward to see what you create next.
Thank you. And you are also an inspiration to many people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Dennis. If you're interested in learning more about my group coaching program for Career Happiness Academy, please check out the link I have on the show notes. Just for this first group, I'll be including 2 sessions of one-on-one 90-minute coaching with me for each person in the program, and I will not offer a one-on-one coaching in my future group coaching program. So if you are curious about coaching, this will be the best time for you to participate. In the program, you'll learn how to gain self-awareness by learning more about yourself and how you can gain clarity about your goals and how to take action to achieve them. The benefit of the group program is that you'll be part of an inspiring community of successful people who are going through a journey of transforming their careers and lives. The group dynamic will offer mutual support, accountability, and a space to share ideas and challenges, and you'll be able to build relationships that can extend beyond the class. So if you are ready for a big change, I invite you to join me in this inspirational journey to transform your career and life so you can finally take action and achieve what you have always wanted, whether that is a career transition, starting a side project, writing a book, or whatever your goal or dream may be. I'll be inviting people on a rolling basis, and I expect it to fill up pretty quickly. So if you're interested, I encourage you to take a look at the link in the show notes or go to selinalee.co/CHA. That is CELINALEE.co/CHA, which stands for Career Happiness Academy. And reach out to me by filling out a short questionnaire and we'll schedule a time to talk. Filling out the questionnaire does not mean you're signing up for the program. This is just a way for me to learn about your background and who you are and how I may be able to help you. And during our phone conversation, you can ask me any questions you have about me and about the program. If you have questions about my one-on-one coaching or have any thoughts or questions about my podcast, you can also visit me at my website, selinalee.co, and please send me a message on my contact page. And please subscribe on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And while you're at it, I would really appreciate it if you can please write me a review. It's really easy to do it on iTunes, and it will really help me to spread the word and get discovered by new listeners. So thank you so much, and I'll be back soon with another episode. I hope you have a great week.